Hello. Welcome back to the Bible Study Girl podcast. This is Sarita. You probably know me as Bible Study Girl. And executive producing this here podcast. I know I'm having executive producing this here podcast.
Hey, Tom.
Is that criticizing voice in the background you hear? Bible Study Brother.
It is our Bible Study Brother, also known as Icarus Gray, over at Gray Area Anime. Go check us out.
I really do like it. I think you've hit the nail on the head with that one. All right. And we also have another special guest here with us today. We're continuing our conversation with a Bible Study Mama. You're going to greet the people, ma'am?
Hey everybody, it's Bible Study Mama.
Okay, I like it. Yes, okay.
I like that. I like it. She works it. She's never gonna remember how to do it ever again. Though.
She doesn't have to do it like that every time.
I just like to hi everybody.
Yes,
that's my thing.
I like the thing.
Is,
Hello.
Yes.
Hi everybody.
Mamas.
I'm glad she greeted everyone though. That was very, very nice of her.
That is her.
You are tuning in, guys, to part 2 of our discussion about our experience with Haven. If you did not listen to the first podcast, go check it out.
And also read the blog post
and
where
also
she goes deeper.
The blog post where I go deeper. And that blog post was in December of 2019, so it's real far back.
It was fresh, though.
It was fresh off the presses.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You got to go back and you can see a lot of growth and changes in different things if they go back and do it.
You can definitely see a lot of growth and different changes. So last podcast we were talking, like I said, about my experience at Haven. Haven is funded by the Unique Foundation. They sell makeup. They also, the Unique Foundation does not sell makeup. They are a nonprofit, and they exist to help adult women survivors of childhood sexual abuse. And I was blessed and fortunate enough to be able to go in December of 2019. After I went, I told Bible Study Mama, hey, I got a lot of help in healing here, or beginning of my healing journey. I feel like it would be a great idea for you to go and participate. How did you feel when I said to you, I think you should go?
I was receptive. I had never really talked about my childhood sexual abuse to but a handful of people, and I didn't even start talking about it until I was in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So 30 years later, it was longer than 30 years. But to finally go and get help was really what I needed.
I think that is, so did my pumping it up encourage you to go?
No,
I'm going to tell you guys it did not. When did you apply? After I talked to you about it, because I came back in December 2019. When did you apply?
I may have applied maybe in January.
Okay.
It wasn't
too long.
It wasn't too long. She did listen, it seems like.
Okay. So let me tell y'all.
This is our big baby.
They get in contact with her and they are like, we have a room for you. Like, I will say this too, like a lot of the women that I was at retreat with, God will make room for you. A lot of the women that I was at retreat with had applied like long before, because this is free. This is a no expenses. You just have to pay for your transportation there and back home. That is it. And God will make room for you. Like I said, I applied in October. I went in December. There were women that had applied 6, 7, 8 months before that were just getting to go. So for me to be able to go so quickly, for Bible Study Mama to be able to go so quickly, was a blessing. I'm going to tell on you though, like when she was accepted and she was like, I don't know if this is a good time for me to leave. And
did we fuss at her?
I fussed at her.
I know you did, but I feel like it was
sure.
I feel like I told you needed to go. For sure.
Well, I think in my thought processes, a lot of times I think about how it's going to affect other people around me as far as my presence, because sometimes I'm needed for things and so forth and so on. But anyway, just trying to navigate my life and my job, because I am the only person that does my job on a like on a daily basis. There are some people that I can call on and say, "Hey, can you cover me for a few days or something like that?" But to be gone for a week, sometimes I probably put more responsibility on myself than I should, and somebody brought that to my thought processes yesterday when we were talking. But I have a tendency.
Who was that? Somebody.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't her.
It was somebody she was. She talked to people all the time. It was not me.
I was just asking who the somebody was, so I can on air.
It wasn't a man though.
It wasn't a man.
I can guesstimate who it was, but we'll talk about that off air.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You're our baby.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Okay. And that is why I was gonna tell him later.
Okay. But anyway, it was
Sorry,
after
weird.
But yeah. So I
or we're not weird. This is just our dynamic. Deal with it.
I was really trying to figure out like what would be a good time for what would be a good day for me to go. Like, okay, am I gonna leave like on a Sunday, because I think I had to be there on a Monday by 11. Yeah.
You can
11
fly. Yeah,
a.m.,
you can fly in on the same day, but your plane has to land by 11 a.m. because they're picking you up from the airport.
I could not find a flight that would land, so I ended up having I didn't pay for. I was gifted 2 nights in Salt Lake City because I wasn't going to be there on time for the pickup, and when the retreat was over, there was not a flight that I could get out. So I had to spend a night
when did you go?
She ended up going in February.
Yeah, so this is like
it was
the beginning of the winter when Serena went.
I went at the beginning.
It was
and now it's
it was
winter,
around the 2nd of February, because it was the other thing I was worried about too is February is a real hard month for me, just because it's my brother's birthday and I didn't want to be away from family on his birthday.
Right. Now, why
so
is it,
I was coming
everybody
back.
Everybody may not know why your brother's birthday would be a hard occasion for you.
Because he was murdered, and our birthdays are 5 days apart. And generally he and I would spend our birthdays together. And so whenever February comes around, it's just it's not good for me. And mentally, I'm trying to get to a point to where it's not as depressing. I'm not as bad as I was when he first passed away.
I'll give you that.
But I still struggle.
It's still a hard one.
Around that time. Yeah. I really struggle. And like at the beginning of February, I'm always like,
what's wrong with me?
What is going on?
Yeah, that's my temperature gauge.
It just hits me
year.
all of a sudden, but my subconscious just takes over, and I'm just like, why am I sad? What is going on? I'm really depressed right now. What? Like,
I think in February, you, at least for the past 2 years, you'll have a day where you're like, hey, I'm not answering my phone.
I'm not available. Yeah.
Right. I have to take a day. And it may not be his birthday. It may be,
it
somewhere.
could be any day.
And I'm just like, I'm just not into life right now. Y'all just let me be. I don't talk. I don't want to really socialize with people. I just want to deal with myself.
But we do the same thing, I think, with each other now is because we know that we all have the capacity to self-deprecate in that sense of when something is sad, we'll just, all right, I'm feeling sad. I'm going to go listen to sad music and be in my room eating. And it's like, okay, you do need that time. Even when dealing with He Who Shall Not Be Named, I was like, at the start, like No, like
Yeah,
I
nobody gave
you,
me time at the
no,
start.
no, we did.
No, you did. Well,
No, we
I
did.
will take that back. Mama gave me like 12 hours. Like,
I did.
I will
And
let you have.
I gave you 48 because I called. I said, "Well, I want to," and I was like, "Well, I don't want to, do whatever." But she not sounding like this gonna like, and it's okay to be sad, but this will look like she don't know. I will chop down her door.
Right.
Right.
And
Okay, so
yeah.
that's why you were hesitant about February. But can I ask you, even if it had been like in August, you still would have
She still
been,
would have found a scheduling thing.
I,
Like,
and but I've always had an issue with scheduling issues because my best friend has for years wanted me to go traveling with her, and I was just like, well, I'm the church secretary, I work, and the kids are blah 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 and blah blah blah,
and the kids are like, go
and the
somewhere,
kids be like,
please.
go, like,
Please go
because
somewhere. Please.
and the thing that I know that this is how I know it's just a mind state for you, because no matter what, if we were free from COVID and everything else, there would be a summer vacation and a winter vacation, and you always make sure that you go. Like, time, it don't matter what's going on. You tell folks, no, me and the family rolling out.
But when it comes to taking care of you, all of a sudden you don't have time.
Because it's like, you got time.
You got time,
stop.
sis.
You
But my
halt
thing
everything
was
with
like
this.
when I finally decided it was gonna be both of our. I mean, she's a few months older than I am, so she's the oldest. And I was like, "Well, where do you want to go?" And she was like, "Let's go to Europe." And I'm like, "To Europe, girl? What is wrong with you?" I mean, I had a passport and everything, and I was just like, "Well, hey, why don't I just go ahead and go?" And it was going to be more than a week vacation. It was more like 2 weeks, and so I was like,
That opened your wings.
Will my children be okay if I'm across the water?
Yes,
We
leave.
were fine. Goodbye.
Yes, leave.
Please go.
Let us know when you're coming back. Like, that's all. Like, as long as you don't get over
Like-
here and act like you ain't got no sense.
But I must say, before we went on the trip, I did treat them. We had done a photo shoot.
You act like
Listen,
we're not babies
the
who
photo
you
shoot
I
was
know
not a
y'all
treat.
aren't babies,
Okay,
but
okay.
y'all are my
And also,
babies.
this is
Listen,
way.
let's
this
get
is
back
a
on
whole
topic.
nother-
Because you done
okay,
went
okay.
on vacation.
This is
and
back
you can
to
talk
the,
about
past.
your
But anyway,
vacation.
it really it attests to the fact that I have a tendency not to do self-care.
Correct.
And so this,
You?
like I said, shut up. So I was gifted with the 2-night stay and also the flight. I didn't have to pay for anything. I actually was able to go and
Not have to worry.
not have to worry.
Were you anxious before you went? Did you feel like, I wonder? Because I
I was not really anxious because now you wouldn't discuss with me what happened at Haven because you said you wanted it to be my experience.
Well, she also
But
couldn't.
you did.
Well, I could have told her everything about my experience, but I was like, I want you to go and have your personal experience. That's why, like, even if you and a sister apply, you don't go at the same time. They don't want you to go at the same time because they want you to be able to experience it for yourself so you don't have to worry about somebody else's emotions. It really is a self-care, let's take care of you type thing.
It is,
And so,
and it was.
And so I wanted her experience to be completely her own. I didn't want to pollute her mind. I just wanted to see, just what your experience would be without my input, without me saying, and this and this. Like, I didn't tell her anything. I just told her it was a life-changing experience for me.
Yeah.
She's just dropping her jewels.
Yeah, she is.
Dropping jewels.
But yeah. So, I mean, I only told one other person and I have found a friend at my current church that I can talk to about stuff. And so the same person that brought to my mind yesterday. But anyway, I was telling her that I was going away and what it was about. And she said, I'll be praying for you as you go. Right. And so I had somebody praying, and I think I told my 2 best friends. I told them that I was going. But yeah.
Okay. So you said you weren't anxious. Were you anxious when you were in the car ride on the way through the canyon?
No.
No. What was your first impressions when you arrived at Haven?
I was like, oh my God. Is this somebody's house? Is this a hotel? What is this? But like going through those doors, oh my goodness.
Right.
I'm like, a real person like lives here. Oh my goodness. When I say beautiful, it was a beautiful home. The fireplaces, oh my God, were just gorgeous. The kitchen was gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. And that food.
The chef,
Woo.
the chef was off the chain good. I enjoyed breakfast. I enjoyed all of the amenities that came with the retreat. Y'all, they even had a barbershop or a
Beauty salon.
beauty salon. I'm saying a barbershop. A beauty salon with
Yeah, I don't know if
4
it's a Guy
chairs,
Haven
I think.
people.
I think there were 4 chairs in there. And this was the smallest number of people that had gone to this particular retreat. Because I think when you went, y'all had like 50.
No, we didn't have
40s?
50. No.
Yeah. How many people y'all have?
20 something.
Y'all had 20 something. Okay,
Yeah.
well, we only had like 15, 16. I mean, it was a really small group.
Mm-hmm.
And there was another African American lady was there with me, and she was from Atlanta. And I was like, why'd you come to Salt Lake if she was like, I wanted to go away. So so she and I were roommates.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a fantastic view of the mountains.
Wow.
And the moon shining at night on the snow-capped mountains, and it was so beautiful and peaceful
It is.
to be there.
Right.
And then to wake up in the morning and it was snowing, and you could just sit on your bench, the window bench, and look out. It was just, there were so many beautiful aesthetic things
Right.
that were there.
And not just things to look at, but really the inside work. What was okay? So the emotional work. I didn't give you any clues or any hints about what happened at Haven. How was group therapy for you? Was it uncomfortable for you?
It was scary.
Okay.
Group therapy was scary to me. But here's the thing. We've been in therapy for
Oh wow, but not group
a
therapy.
long time. I think probably we've been in therapy for at least 11 years, maybe.
Not consistently, but yeah.
It's been that long?
It's
for
been
y'all?
11 years.
Not consistently though.
Because I'm just going to say,
Mine is consistent.
I got like,
Well, I haven't been in, but go ahead.
I got enough.
I would say
I could
for
count
the
my
past
sessions on
5
my
years.
hands.
I would say for the past 5 years, but I haven't been this year. I went at the beginning before I lost insurance, but that's a whole different.
But I mean, I've continued my process. But going to group therapy and them explaining what it was going to be when we were in our circle, and I was in a spot where I was like, I am not the first person to start. Thank you, God. I did not want to be the first person. And then listening to their stories, and I'm like, oh my God. You feel like your story is not as important when you hear other people's stories, but knowing that you've all been in that same situation is comforting.
It is.
I mean,
That's
we
what I was about to
still
ask both of
contact
y'all.
each other. We still talk to each, and we inbox each other. We have our own group that we communicate with each other, like on a regular basis, because some of them are going through court processes and stuff like that,
Right.
and so they keep us abreast of how things are going with them. Um, but it was challenging.
Group therapy was one of the things that I was most
Sorry, wrong one.
Yeah, wrong.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. We
It's kind of
still
it's
hear
such a
you,
small
girl.
space.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
sorry.
fine.
You're okay.
Hey, you're entitled to a coffee call.
To coffee.
Okay, we're being quiet because I'm trying to get my executive producer's attention as he.
We good. We got it.
Okay. So, group therapy, I think, was the thing that I was most nervous about because I didn't know what to expect. I had never been in group therapy before. And I'm like, yo, what is this going to be about? But I think it's one of the things that helped me the most. It kind of reinforced what I like about this platform, hearing other people's stories so you don't feel so alone.
Right.
And so to hear, it's just you can't look at somebody and tell what they've been through. You have no clue. You have no idea. But to just sit down and listen to these women and their stories and their struggles was definitely very healing for me. Definitely very eye-opening for me. And it really did. It helped me as I started my healing process to not feel so alone. And like you said, we have a group on Facebook. We communicate with each other. We check in on each other. How are you feeling today? Because I feel like childhood trauma it has a lot of similarities with grief.
Mm-hmm.
You may not even realize that that's what is affecting your mood that day, or that's what's going on that day. So it's nice to have a circle of people that kind of get you and get where you're coming from sometimes. So I think that is one thing I'm really grateful for, the experience to get in touch with people and connected with people that get me on a different level.
Yeah. I think a lot of the, even the sessions that we had on mindfulness and self-awareness and self-care kind of things were really impactful because I'm like, yeah, I'm being selfish now thinking about myself. Because that's one of the things that I struggle with as well is like
we know
being selfish. You're being selfish, but it's not really being selfish because if I'm not whole, I can't give you what you need.
You can't.
And so it's a process, because people have expectations of you, and I'm having to learn that I can't live up to your expectations. I can only do what I can do.
Right.
And so for me, that's been a struggle because that's been what I've done for 55 years. And so I realized this morning, I knew we were going to go through this, and God put this in my spirit, is that a lot of times the reason I don't want people to help me is because I don't know what you're going to want from me.
Oh, that's very true.
What are you going to want from me?
Right. I don't want to owe you.
I don't want to owe you because during my molestation, there were things to keep myself safe. I had to do some things.
Right.
And so I'm like, no.
Do you think you would?
It's a trigger for me.
Do you think you ever would have made that connection? When did you make that connection?
This morning.
Oh, so that was.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That was never. It never was a thing where I realized the reason that even when people give me praise or say that I did something really well, and I'm like, okay, when is the other shoe going to drop? Like, I don't like accolades because I feel like there's something else coming behind it.
Well,
there's I don't know, that there's going to be a loss of something. And so I'm real anxious when people either give me verbal, you did a really good job, kudos kind of thing. It's like, oh, but next week.
Right.
What is going to be the discussion? Oh,
Well,
you forgot something. And I internalize a lot of stuff. So I'm having to learn not to internalize and rationalize everything. Like, what did you mean by that? Stop talking to me because you're meaning something. There's a hidden meaning.
Right.
Excuse me. I'm not like that all the time. And I can draw myself back and realize that that's where I'm going with the thought process. But going there and sitting down and writing the things, that's why I struggle sometimes and think that I'm not a good parent, because we're not going to be perfect in anything that we do in life. We can strive for perfection, but I know that we're not going to achieve it.
Right.
But I also feel that being a parent is such a weighty responsibility
It is.
that you don't need to chance it with anything.
Right.
And so I've been working on myself in that I don't always castigate myself if I feel like I haven't been the greatest parent.
You do have that.
You got it bad. I mean,
real
it's
bad.
like we have.
Real bad.
It don't
We
matter
could be
how many
talking
times-
about, I don't know, and you're like, because I was a bad parent. And I'm like, girl.
The funniest thing was the birthday realization about my birthday parties.
Oh.
She just went, well, just never. I was like, Mama, I didn't know to ask, but like it's like
Yes.
you wouldn't have known.
What Bible study
Did you-
brother is discussing is the fact that we realized one day that he never really had birthday parties. And Mama was like, yes, he did. I'm like, no.
No,
He didn't. And we realized the reason I had birthday parties is because I planned them. I was very like, for
Yeah.
my birthday this year, this is what's going down.
And I only had, I think, one birthday where I actually asked, and I was to go to like Exciting, and me and 3 other of my church members that I went to church with went.
Eddie didn't go.
It was me, Christina. I remember Joy being there, and I don't think Eddie was there at the Excite party.
Well, anyway, back to you, sis.
But yeah,
You're a
and
great
even
parent.
I mean, I went through.
You are a
like,
great parent.
What I did really enjoy, was it wasn't yoga. It was something Tai Chi.
Mm-hmm.
Tai Chi. I really enjoyed Tai Chi. It was something I didn't think that I would like, but I had never done it before. But it was so relaxing. And I had said that was something I was going to do on a regular basis, just never did. And then learning to breathe correctly. The breathing exercise really, really centered me. I liked all of the things that they did to help us to physically be in tune with our bodies and our
Right.
minds, and to center ourselves.
And I might add that this is not a faith-based organization. Like, there are not Jesus banners flying everywhere. And I think as Christians, especially super saved saints, we won't do something like this because we not running the banner of Christ. Now, they do advocate for faith, but they don't care what your faith is.
Right.
Like, it's not, you have to be this, or but they do advocate that you need to have some faith. You need to have faith, faith in yourself. You need to have some faith. And I have reached a point in my life where, y'all know I love Jesus, but I also am not going to limit my access to complete healing or wholeness.
Well, you're not gonna limit God, you know what I mean?
And I'm not going to
Essentially, like,
limit him.
a lot of times I think we can limit God to just whatever it is we grew up on.
Right.
We act as if, again, if he came down in a burning bush, what's to stop him from coming from the Haven experience?
Right.
What's to stop him from coming from speaking to you through somebody who doesn't even believe in him?
Right.
Like, if he,
Right.
he took hold of people, he's hardened hearts, and that sounds overly possessive in this or possession-ish, but that's God in the fact of how he created us. So I think that a lot of times our thought processes on a lot of these things, and I mean, I mentioned it last episode about, you know, just kind of like how we joke about this as a community sometimes, and we don't take it as seriously. But mental health is serious.
It's serious.
And it's like, you know, and I know that everybody's been on this kick, but you have to think about the power of life and death is in the tongue.
Right.
And therefore, you know, and you said, like, you don't commit adultery when you commit the act. It's in the mind. Therefore, it is a mental thing. It is something that you have to choose to do, which shows the importance of mental health even in scripture.
Right.
Because it's like you have to train yourself. Because it's not like you don't understand what our natural body desires and stuff in that. Like if you see somebody that's attractive, so on and so forth, we are created in a way that still says you'll see that person and think they're attractive. What you do after that is your mental, is your control, is your spirit, is your, like, am I in spaces where my flesh wants more
Right.
than what I can control with my spirit, or I can control my own desires. We just have to be more aware of that in being spiritual. We act as though God can't work through a psychiatrist or these people to talk about things. We go to Bible studies and everything else, and yet we won't do these same things for the body. It's not like as if there are so many millions of places created for us in, like, Baptists in and of itself, or these Christian hospitals, whatever they are, aren't founded upon, like, aren't kept by, like, okay, we got this Christian doctor,
Right.
is that and third?
True.
It's, the banner itself is supposed to be whatever, but those are not the places we're currently creating.
Right.
So we have to seek those people out. We have to pray about those people. And it's not saying just go out here and just start talking to whoever, but pray about it. Seek. You know.
And God opens the door, and I'm so thankful that he opened up the door for me and made me be willing to share with people, because there's so much power in your testimony.
Yeah.
There's so much power. There's just so much power in that. And my life has forever been changed by that experience. And it really did, I would say, going to Haven kind of helped me to stop putting God in a box. He's bigger than me.
Yeah.
I can't contain him. And so wherever he wants to lead me, and however he wants to make me whole, I have to be open and receptive to that. I'm so grateful that you went, and I'm really grateful that you went when you did, because COVID struck. And if you had waited,
Well, here's the other thing. I can say, generally when I go on long trips, or if I go on any trip and I come back, I usually have a day where I'm just like, blah, I feel horrible, I'm sick or whatever. Well, I think a couple of days afterwards, it was, guys, something's got me. I just need you to go to the store.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
And put stuff out, just put it outside my room. Because y'all had told me a long time ago, when I get sick, y'all generally put stuff outside my bedroom door and you leave. We can talk on the phone and all of that, but generally, you put it outside the room and I just get it, and I'm enclosed in my
how else would you like for me to handle it?
That's the only way I want you to handle it.
All right.
That is the only
This
way.
is pre-corona. Listen, I don't want your germs.
I think I got the corona.
You think you did?
I was sick as a friggin' dog.
Were you?
Yes.
I do remember you being sick, and I remember driving to your house and placing things outside of your bedroom door. I didn't make you go outside.
I don't remember what I had to get you. I had to get you something.
I think I had you go get me some soup or something, or some more juice or something. But anyway, it's like,
and all of this, like,
there's
we
a
are
set
closer
rule.
to the
There's
end
a
of the
set.
year
There's
right
a set guideline on how you handle me when I get sick, and generally, that's it. I mean, we'll talk. Y'all will call and check on me, but other than that,
that's what you've requested. Also, that's kind of what the head of our trio said in stone. So I just follow orders. Because when I'm sick, that ain't it.
I don't. But I wouldn't want you to. I don't want you to get sick. So just leave it outside my door. Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
I understand that, and I really am more in tune to Joe getting sick. you're around little people
know
all the
what? I just
time
not
that
thought about
give
that.
you infections.
Of
And
course, it's
you
different
tend,
when I'm
if I'm
sick.
around, but see, here's the thing. Every time I'm around Sarita and she's been around her little people,
My little friends.
Oh, she
her little
stays sick.
friends it used to get her sick, especially when her house was being remodeled and we were together.
We lived together.
I'm like,
She's just saying that because I would give
Cooties
her pink
after
eye.
cooties.
I didn't give you cooties. I gave you pink
Cooties.
eye. If they give
Cooties.
me pink eye, I have to give it to you. It's like a rule.
I just not thought about that.
What's your, before we get way off base and off topic, what do you have one thing that you feel like you took away from Haven, like your most important thing, or do you have like a list that you could go through of things?
my most important thing was to not feel guilty about self-care.
Right.
Praise God.
It's still a work in progress.
It's a work in progress.
Amen.
But I do take the time. I have days where it's like I'm taking a long shower. I mean, a long bath. I have the jets on in the jacuzzi. I am not talking to anybody. They can call all they want to. I'm in this tub and I am taking care of me. So I do have days like that. And if COVID was not an issue, because I'm not going anywhere but to work, church, and back to my house.
And you come to my house.
All
I
the
do
time.
come.
Yes, she does.
All the time. But
Where was you at today
Thank you. And the day before.
and the day before?
Mm-hmm.
it's because we've been working out. Self-care again.
Self-care.
But anyway, we spend a lot of time together because we do work out a lot together.
We do.
And so I'm either at your house or we're somewhere,
In nature.
Two Rivers or Burns Park. Or
Why you telling the people where I'm at? And see, I'm gonna tell you something else too.
Stop. Let's not.
Not on
Let's
fire.
not. Let's not.
So
Stop.
No.
We're not going to talk about that.
No.
We're not going to talk about it.
Okay, but what I'm saying to you is there
Don't,
anything
'cause
else?
you going
I'm
to
is there
not.
anything
I
else
promise
you
I'm
would
not.
like to do?
Anything else you want to talk to speak to the people about Haven before I say what I want to say before he ushers us out because he was getting ready to usher child.
The other thing I did, I know of some people who have experienced childhood sexual abuse, and I have given them the information, told them it would be a great thing for their loved one or for them to go to and just deal with it. I mean,
Right.
you know, and a lot of people, and I will say this, a lot of people will say, God has healed me from whatever pains and aches and the angst and all the feelings that I had from my experience. And I honestly said to myself that, you know, I have forgiven my molesters because there was more than one. So I thought Christian Beverly has forgiven them, but I hadn't taken care of me.
Right.
Right.
So this was me taking care of me.
Right.
And that's the one takeaway I get from that.
I remember now, like for both of you, especially for you, when you first came and talked to me about it, and I said, "Go heal," like because you need to heal,
Right.
you know. And I don't know what her saying that just made me remember that sentiment of what it was, because I was like, that's what we've been working on for the past 10, 11 years, or actually
Right.
longer than that, since I was in high school. Since our first, you know, the one family session I think that we all may have done back then, or even the session that I did, was there's something missing. We hadn't thought about it or thought about the things that we needed to heal at that time. And then we get to hear where it was like, go heal. Because everything that God has started stirring and preparing for you, I'm like, and I think I also was like, and these are also amazing podcast episodes. And you were like, I don't think I'm going to talk about
We
these.
weren't even podcasting then.
Or blog posts. I probably told you something that I'm almost positive I was still very.
The podcasting was not even
like,
on the radar.
I was like,
at
oh,
that
I
point.
can't wait to do this because we were just reading. It wasn't that far off.
I mean, I didn't know that at the time, but
I did or did not, because I think I had already decided like I wanted to hear more, and you going and getting that healing was very important.
It was very important for me. I will say, if you have unresolved issues with childhood sexual abuse, there's help for you. You can go to findinghope.org. They have resources there on the website that you can look at. They have, you can also find an online support group. Some groups meet in person. It's a nationwide, actually it's a worldwide thing, not even nationwide. There was a lady there in my group from the UK. So people all over the world travel to get help and healing. But healing is available no matter how old you are. There were women there that were in the later stages of a life that were just addressing it for the first time. And you don't want to be that person. I mean, if that is where you are, that's fine. But I would prefer for you to get the help and the healing as soon as possible. You don't necessarily have to share with your family or your friends. But you do what you have to do to be whole. You do what you have to do to be healthy. People may not always be in line.
Reclaim your safe spaces.
Right.
Because if even being alone, you don't feel safe or you don't feel comfortable, then you need to get that back. That's, and I can express how important that is. Because I know what it feels like to be alone and still feel like, so.
Yeah. I'm an advocate for people being whole. I keep saying that, but I am an advocate for people being healthy because I've operated in trauma for most of my life. And I guess to look at me, you would think it's not as bad as it is, but you don't know what's on the inside of me. You don't know what I go through mentally. And so I'm just an advocate. An advocate for people getting help and doing.
It's hard to stay in survival mode all the time, and for them to just let you know that this is basically what you've been doing your whole life is being in survival mode.
Yeah.
To release that and let your limbic system work properly.
Yeah. And it's amazing. I will say, I said it again. I said it in the other podcast, but for me to realize that a lot of the way I think is not healthy was eye-opening for me. Because you think you know what healthy is, and then you're like, oh, everybody in the world don't think like this?
Well, I guess because in those situations, what you end up doing, because a lot of what I've heard from y'all and other people who have experiences that are close to me is, I don't want these things to happen to this person. So you start sacrificing yourself.
Oh, 100%.
You sacrifice yourself and you never get away from that.
You never get away. You stay sacrificing.
So you don't know how you're
sacrificing
yourself because
That's true.
It's like, if it's, excuse me.
Ooh, this family, y'all should have had some water.
If it's time, if it's, okay, and it's always time, because whether it's work, you stay in your work because you want a certain level of financial success, whether it's you dive even more into your family because you don't want to address things you see, apparently I'm some sort of important glue and the truth of my things will just shatter it all, and like you take so much unto yourself while sacrificing yourself.
Right.
And it's not even your place to do that. All burdens, you're not supposed to take your burdens and carry them with you, or say, well, Lord, I'm just going to keep sacrificing myself. And you're like, it's not your place to do. I sent someone to you for that.
Right.
And you can put that back at my feet now. And you're like, no, I just want to carry these things. And so, like you said, like, it's not something I would think about. Because, I know I do have parts of that just probably from learning the behavior.
Yeah, you learn the behavior from people that weren't healed and whole. Like, so, I'm teaching you wrong. Yeah. You think that's the way life is supposed to happen, and it's not. And
Right.
so I think that's, the generational curses, the things that the pain that we have that we don't address, we give it to our children, So I'm just a big advocate for doing what you can to be a healthy, whole person. Guys, there's hope for you. There is healing for you. God is the ultimate healer, and He has resources here on earth that you can tap into to get to your best self.
Hallelujah.
That's it. That's all. The end. Of course.
That's not it.
I mean,
and that's not all.
okay.
Because you can get more of this over at BibleStudyGirl.com, where there are blog posts every day. On Saturdays, you get the Bible Study Girl podcast. If you want to interact with us on Instagram, it's _ Bible Study Girl. On Twitter, it's Bible Study Girl, the number 2. On Facebook, find us Bible Study Girl. Like the page so you can keep up with each and every post of everything that you want to do. And also remember, if you have a walk that you want to talk about, because we are about the walk, we are about talking about God and faith, you can email us at BibleStudyGirl2019@gmail.com. But you can also email us at grayareaanime grayareaanime@gmail.com. Anyway, they, you, us, no, we preach.
And until we meet again, guys, keep preaching. Don't mind the bear in the background.